Hi guys, this is Dr. Allen. You may not like today's talk, but you need to know this information. One of the things that's happening now is that the CDC has brought about to our attention that the vaccines, the antibody levels are going down and the Delta variant is going up. Which means that your infectious rate, which means your ability to fight off the variant or fight off COVID is down significantly. And thus the booster is now on the table. You have to listen to what I'm saying. And if it works, I pray that God allows you to let as many people know that you possibly can in order for us all to get better and have unity and fight this virus together. The airline stewardess, 36-year-old Reggie, passed away from a fully vaccinated scenario where he took his mom to Hawaii. When he came back, he caught COVID, went to the emergency room, and 5 days later, passed away on a ventilator. His vaccine status was never checked. He could have never had any antibodies against COVID, but yet still, he had the vaccine. Does your vaccine work? Did you check your antibody levels? Before you move forward on any other shot, you gotta check your antibody level. Do I have immunity is the question you should be asking yourself and asking your friends. This is strictly for the fully vaccinated. Did I get checked? I took 2 shots, and did I check to see if the stuff I put in my body worked? I check everything else, but I never checked to see if I truly had immunity. We found in a small sample that 35 patients of whom we checked, only 7 people had actual immunity. 35 jabs and 7 people actually had immunity. And we're asking ourselves, why is fully vaccinated individuals taking the shot, still contracting COVID and still dying? They may not have any antibody protection or any immunity. Did you check your antibody level to see if the vaccine worked? Here's the data that we found. Trust me, I pray that God allow you to let as many people know as possible. Check your antibody level before you take any other jab. So you would know if I have immunity, how much more do I need to get to fight the variant? And if I don't have immunity, why didn't my vaccine work? Or did it only work for 2 weeks? Or did it only work for 2 months? Let me show you what I found. We tested in our study 35 total vaccinated patients. 35 total vaccinated patients. Of these total patients, 34% received Moderna. 12% of the 35 received Johnson & Johnson. 54% of the 35 received Pfizer. In this section of all these shots that was given, here is what happened. 77% of the 35 people had no antibodies. That means 2/3 or more of the people that took not only 1 jab, if it's a 2-jab vaccine, took 2 shots and had no antibodies. 23% of 35 people actually developed immunity. Now you got fully vaccinated people with a card, and 77% have no protection. And you're asking, why is the variant affecting and killing fully vaccinated individuals? They don't have protection. They don't have protection. Do you have protection? Did you check your antibody levels? As this variant is moving through the roof and you running around fully vaccinated, you may be a sitting duck with what we're talking about here. Now, in the antibodies, in the 23%, the people that had antibodies, 25% of the people that had antibodies developed it from Moderna. Pfizer, 63% developed the antibodies. But now this is a correlation to the shot they took. Johnson & Johnson had 12% of the individuals that took Johnson & Johnson that developed antibodies. So out of 100%, 12% Johnson & Johnson developed antibodies. Out of Pfizer, of 100%, 63% of the Pfizer people developed of the antibodies. So the people that developed antibodies, 63% of them developed, and Moderna, 25%. Let me break it down a little bit further. Johnson & Johnson, 25% developed, here we go, developed antibodies. 75% of the people in Johnson & Johnson who took the vaccine didn't develop any antibodies. In the Pfizer category, 26% of the people that took the Pfizer vaccine actually developed immunity. 73% of the people that took the Pfizer vaccine, that's 2 shots, had no immunity. In the Moderna, 16% developed actual protection. 83% had no immunity. Now, mind you, they're making billions on these vaccines. These individuals are giving us shots left and right. The boosters are also going to bring billions. But as the population did the medicine work, if I have protection, I may not die. But if you gave me the shot and I had no protection, then I need to be asking, should I get another initial round, or what is the booster going to be? What efficacy is the booster going to give me? They noticed that our antibody levels are going down. This is information I'm sure they have. And as they're finding out that we're dying even though we got the shot, they're realizing that there's no antibodies in the fully vaccinated population. We're talking about if you got a vaccine and you didn't check, you may be a sitting duck for catching the new variant and you may die. Let me give you some information from our sources of how we got today. In our first group, testing doctors, myself, our first group, Moderna, June and July, they took the vaccine. Moderna, they got antibodies. Antibodies in your blood should look like this. They took Pfizer, May and June. Here's the vaccine card. Antibodies showed up. They took Pfizer, March and May. Antibodies showed up. They took Pfizer, April and May. Antibodies showed up. Now, even though there's a time frame, March, April, this is May and June, this is June and July, antibodies were still present in these individuals. Let me show you the other ones. The second, these individuals took Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson in March, antibodies showed up. This individual took Moderna, February and March, antibodies showed up. This individual took Moderna, June and July, antibodies showed up. This individual took Moderna, June and July, antibodies showed up. Antibodies went all the way back as far as February, and they showed up as early as July, which says, to me, that if the shot worked, the shot worked. But if the shot didn't work, irrespective for the time frame, then your shot may not have worked, period. And if it did work, the one you got may have only worked for a week or two. Because we can see that these individuals go way back in February and still have antibodies from the ones that took the shot and developed antibodies. Let me show you the 77% that took the shot and didn't develop any antibodies, now that you see what antibodies look like. My first group took Johnson & Johnson in March, no antibodies. Johnson & Johnson in March, no antibodies. Johnson & Johnson in March, no antibodies. This is a family that comes to me consistently. All took the J&J vaccine at the same time, 326, 310, 326, none of them had antibodies. But we saw that J&J, the one that did have antibodies in March, still had antibodies because the testing date for all these individuals was in August of this year. This is the testing date. I'm going to ask to show my other sign again for my initial so I can show you the testing date from my positive antibodies. Now, this group, remember, had antibodies. Here is the testing date, August, 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 August. That's the testing date that I took the samples from everyone. However, that group I showed you initially had antibodies back from March. The group I'm showing you now, testing in March, no antibodies. The topic for my subject is, did your shot work? That's what we're asking. Now I'm going to show you all the individuals that took 2 vaccine shots. And to this day, as of August the 16th, 17th, 18th is today's date, no antibodies. Pfizer, May and June, no antibodies. Pfizer, March and April, no antibodies. Pfizer, April, May, no antibodies. Pfizer, April, May, no antibodies. AB is antibodies. I showed you what antibodies look like. February and March, Pfizer, no antibodies. No antibodies. Fully vaccinated, sitting ducks for the Delta variant. No antibodies. And you wonder why, if these individuals get infected with COVID, they're getting sick or they're dying, or why our hospitals are full from the COVID, and why fully vaccinated individuals are catching COVID. They don't have immunity. They're noticing it in what I showed you earlier, and now that's the push for the vaccine, because someone is starting to realize the same information that I'm bold enough to come out and tell you. If you're fully vaccinated, check to see if your vaccine works. This person, Pfizer, fully vaccinated, no antibodies, 53 years old. This person, Moderna, May and June, no antibodies, negative for having the disease and no antibodies to protect them. This person, Blackwell, Pfizer, May, beginning of May, April, beginning of April, end of April, no antibodies. Blackwell. This person, Pfizer, took it in April 6th and April 28th, 2 Pfizer doses. No antibodies, 17 years old. Sitting ducks for the new variant, no antibodies, fully vaccinated. This group, Moderna, May and June, Pamela, no antibodies. This person, February and March, Letitia, no antibodies. This person, February and March, fully vaccinated, no antibodies. This person, Sonia, fully vaccinated, January, February, no antibodies. All tested in August, fully vaccinated, no antibodies. 77% of the people we tested. We had 35 patients, but trust me, out of 35 patients, I began to see a trend that made me realize I needed to ask you, does your vaccine work? Did you check your antibodies? And if you haven't, you are sitting duck for the Delta variant, regardless if you're fully vaccinated or not. This person, Moderna, February, and this is January and February. Sorry, February and March, that's what it looks like there. No antibodies. This person, March, April, Lisa and Lisa, no antibodies, fully vaccinated. This person, Maria, vaccinated in January, vaccinated in February, no antibodies. You gotta tell me, if you can, how is it that I took shot 1 and shot 2 and have no antibodies? I have to ask, if you can, send a message to Dr. Fossey. Why didn't their vaccine work? That's a simple question. Because if we're out here and this variant is just taking lives like COVID in the beginning, and you're talking about boosters, we should know if the first shot even worked, or first round of vaccines worked. And if you're not checking your antibodies before you even consider a booster, you are doing something that could be detrimental. And if you're not checking your antibodies with this new variant, you could be a sitting duck for the new Delta variant or whatever COVID come through. Even if you receive the vaccine, it's for fully vaccinated people. And if you're not sharing this video to help every individual out there that potentially could have took a vaccine, saying, hey, or calling your friends and hey, get your immunity level, your antibodies checked, then you are doing a disservice. What happened to my shot? Why didn't my shot work? And what are you going to do for me if I took the shot and it didn't work? Should I come back? What's the plan? Share the videos. Check your immunity level. Save ourselves. Remember, it's up to us to help each other. I couldn't take it anymore, so I had to do something before they told us something different. Those shots are not working in a large portion. Now, maybe you can say that my sample was a small sample, but I guarantee you, if this information get around to enough people that test their levels, they'll see that only one rock takes to start the wave. And when that wave starts, a lot of us will wake up and say, what happened to my shot? And if I'm wrong, then God, I was wrong. But if I'm right, God, please let me help as many people as I can. Check your antibody levels. Thanks for watching Conversation with Dr. Allen.